Welcome back to
our humble host.
Welcome back to Super Talk 99.7 WTN, One Nation Under God here.
Our humble, intelligent host.
That's me, baby. Surviving on 3 hours
Castillo.
sleep. I saw U2 last night. Great, great concert. One thing that Bono said, America, what a great idea. Got Decon in the studio. It is time for the Decon commentary. But we pick it up here at the station.
And with the question, what do you think? What say you? What do you think is the reason that Israel is so maligned and so hated, not only by the Arab nations, but by the left, by the communists, by so many people around the world? Why? What is your opinion? We want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you, and we'll hear from you after the Decon commentary. Rock and roll, brother.
Well, since we've been discussing Israel of late, because tomorrow is Independence Day, I thought it fit to go back into our history and see how our Jewish brothers contributed to the cause of freedom in our country. The following information comes from Jerry Klinger, president of the Jewish American Society for Historic Preservation. The colonial period in America saw something quite different from the way Jews and Gentiles did things in the Old World. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, Jews were able to win rights for themselves that simply did not exist for them in Europe. Success in these efforts varied from colony to colony, but it seems clear that overall, colonists were too busy building their lives and working together to survive in this new land to spend much time rehashing the old grudges and discriminations. I do not mean to say that America was a shining utopia of tolerance and equality, but opportunity was there for all newcomers to make their way, either in the cities or out in the frontier. Those who could prove their worth in the community by skill and trade were accepted by necessity. Now, according to Klinger, Jewish participation in the Virginia colony goes all the way back to the days of Sir Walter Raleigh, but Virginia's first permanent synagogue community, Kehela HaKadosh Beth Shalom, was not founded until 1789 in Richmond. Their first permanent building came up in 1820 under the presiding care of Jacob Mordecai, a Philadelphia-born Jew. Now, in 1753, Britain passed a Jewish naturalization law to grant some few property rights to foreign-born Jews who wished to become British subjects. While this was no great change to how things were done in the colonies, anti-Semitic reaction in Britain was so violent that the law was repealed 7 years later. Now, back in the New World, colonists as a whole were under great stress as the Crown sought to continue dominance over an area too far away and growing and changing far too fast for the British to maintain. While colonists demanded what they thought were their natural rights as British subjects, the government's attempt to tighten its control of the New World eventually led to revolution. While loyalties among the colonists were divided, a large majority of Jews supported the war effort with their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. In 1765, Matthias Busch, president of Mikveh Israel Congregation, was the first of a number of Philadelphia merchants to sign a non-importation agreement in response to the Stamp Act. During the famous Battle of Bunker Hill, June 17, 1776, Aaron Solomon stood with the other volunteers on the front ranks, waiting to see the eyes of the approaching British forces before opening fire. In the South, the British were stirring up the Cherokee to attack the Carolina-Georgia frontier. Among those riding out to spread the alarm and gather volunteers to repel the attacks was Francis Salvador, a Sephardic Jew and the first Jew to be elected to a colonial assembly. On July 1, 1776, he and his volunteers were ambushed and scalped. Salvador was the first American Jew to die in the Revolution. After signing the Declaration of Independence, copies were sent to different places. One such copy was intended for Amsterdam and was sent to the Dutch colony of St. Eustatius in the Caribbean. British ships intercepted it and sent it to London along with an accompanying letter in Yiddish, which the British thought to be some sort of cipher code. Throughout the war, Jews gave and lost much alongside their Gentile compatriots. Abraham Levy and Philip Russell stood watch at Valley Forge. Joseph Simon of Lancaster, PA, made Henry rifles for the Continental Army. Many Jewish traders outfitted their merchant ships for war against the British, whose blockades were aimed directly at them. Ships, cargoes, and fortunes were often lost. One such merchant was Aaron Lopez, who was bankrupted by the loss of ships to the British. Hayim Solomon lost his fortune giving it all to financially support the nascent American government. The greatest and most crucial Jewish contribution to the Revolution came in 1781. Throughout the war, Jewish merchants and arms traders based in Dutch St. Eustatius ran the blockades to supply the Americans. When the British discovered this, they sent Admiral Sir George Rodney and his fleet to deal with the situation. Not only did he capture the island and disrupt the shipments, he resorted to burning homes and synagogues, plundering and bringing torture and imprisonment on the Jews living there. In Rodney's own words, they, the Jews of St. Eustatius, Caribbean Antilles, cannot too soon be taken care of. They are notorious in the cause of America and France. Rodney spent months plundering the island and sending the loot back to England. Meanwhile, Lord Cornwallis was besieged by Washington at Yorktown. The critical supplies and reinforcements he needed were intercepted at sea by the French fleet under Admiral de Grasse, who then blocked Yorktown. If Admiral Rodney in his anti-Semitic zeal had not been so busy ravaging St. Eustatius, then his forces may have been enough to hold off de Grasse, aid Cornwallis, and even defeat General Washington. In this way, Jews helped America win the Revolution. So for them, as well as for us, let freedom ring.
Amen.
That is a Decon commentary.
And it lays pretty much a foundation that we owe the independence of this country, not only to the American patriots that came from England, but also those that had Jewish heritage. So, we can't deny that. Was there any Muslims in that, by the way?
No, the earliest thing I can think of in American history as far as Muslims goes back to Jefferson going to war against the Barbary pirates in Libya.
I'm curious. Do you know of any Muslim contribution to America?
No.
Really? I mean, think about that.
No, I haven't.
Everything about a Muslim in this country has been to destroy the country. Isn't that interesting? And yet our administration wants to cozy up to the Muslims and do away with Israel. Isn't that interesting?
Well, again, our president wants to take us to being back like Europe, which Europe, throughout most of their history, has had a very wide, violent anti-Semitic streak.
Coming up next is the random fact of the day.